So I pulled up right now your one of your most recent blog articles. I know you've had at least one or two come out since then, but this was one that caught my eye about 2 weeks ago, unpacking seller financing, and it was a really interesting read. And I'd love to hear you share a little bit about it. I'll put a link to it in the show notes as well for anyone who wants to read it. But you have kind of an interesting spin on seller financing where you brought in another partner.
hmm
And so can you explain how, just, I guess, the details, the overarching details of the article, and then how you put that deal together?
Yeah. And truthfully, I can't take too much credit for the article. My wife is the wordsmith there. I
Mine is
basically,
too.
yeah, I just spit the words at her, and she somehow turns it into something that's digestible for the average person. So she gets all the credit. But yeah, this was just kind of an overview of how I've been able to scale my portfolio as quickly as I have, because I don't have unlimited money to keep throwing at deals. And what you'll find as you acquire more and more properties is that financing actually gets to be one of the hardest parts, unless you're moving up into commercial loans and things along those lines. So I had to get a little creative and started using seller financing, which for your listeners and who may not be familiar, that's where the seller of the home essentially acts as the bank, and you make monthly payments to the owner of the home, even though you now are the new owner. And what I did, and I've done this a couple times now, is I've found these portfolios of properties. So that's, in one case it was 13, and another it was 26 or something along those lines. And I brought a partner in who was willing to come in and traditionally finance a portion of a portfolio deal. So in the first one, the one I was talking about with 13, I brought in a partner who was willing to buy 7 of those properties, traditionally finance all of them under their own name. And then I negotiated with the seller to have them carry 100% of the note for the other 6. So what you have to do is you have to have empathy, and you have to be able to push yourself in all 3 shoes here. So from my perspective, I wanted houses with as little money into them as humanly possible that cash flowed. From my partner's perspective, they wanted good cash flowing properties that they could finance, that they were getting a little bit of equity on the front end. And then from the seller's perspective, they needed a certain amount of cash to be able to pay off all their mortgages, and and potentially that unlocks enough equity to hold the note as a portfolio acquisition for me. So that my partner coming in and buying with traditional financing, that actually appears to be cash to the seller. So I was solving, by bringing that partner in, solving the seller's problem while simultaneously getting what I wanted. So everybody won in that scenario. It was a pretty darn cool one, and I've emulated that in future deals.
So you didn't have to bring in any cash at all.
No, no. In both of these deals that I've done this with large portfolios, I actually got paid at closing because I closed after the first of the month. And so I actually got a check in both cases. The most recent one, I got a check for over $30,000 because that was prorated rents and taxes and all that stuff. So I literally got paid to take 25 doors off their hands.
Wow. So you
Yeah.
bring zero to the table. You get paid 30,000. You get control of the 6 properties that are yours, and then what are those worth now? How much have they appreciated?
Yeah, so in that deal, I apologize. I should know what the total acquisition between my partner and I was, but I acquired my properties for $525,000, and they're currently worth significantly over 700. I'm actually in the middle of refinancing them right now, and should get them on a nice 30-year amortization here in the next couple days. Gotta love these low interest rates we're getting right now.
Yeah. So when you refinance, then what part are they refinancing? So they'll appraise for, in your article it says 720,000, and
Yeah.
then what does the bank give you?
So the bank should give me actually 75% of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay off the original loan with the previous owner, and we'll pocket the rest.
So you'll still not have any money. You actually get even more money back
Yeah, yeah. I'm
on
going to
this
get
investment.
paid 2 years later from that deal again. Not too bad.
Jeez, talk about
Yeah.
infinite return plus some.
Yeah, no, it's been a really cool deal from that perspective, and it really what it comes down to is needing to identify distress, and that's largely been the way I've been successful and been able to scale as quickly as I have. The properties were in great shape, so it
Hmm.
wasn't that the properties were in distress. What was the distress was that this was going to be a difficult portfolio for this guy to sell without essentially going in, splitting it all up, dealing with 13 different closings, potentially having to vacate some of them if it was going to be an owner occupied sale, and having to eat the cash flow for that period. um, the distress was this was a hard sale for this guy to do, and
Hmm.
that's was my opportunity to go find a way to solve the problem and essentially get a three-way win for everybody.
That's awesome. Hey, you just listened to a segment of the interview with Nick Giulioni, and he's somebody who in 2017 had 0 rental properties, and now I think he said he's got like 70 rental properties, and he did this through some pretty creative methods. He used owner finance to buy some portfolios, and he explains exactly how he did that and how he had no money into that deal. He explains that in the full interview. So if you want to catch the full interview, you can listen to it on a podcast, on the Living Off Rentals podcast. You can go to any podcast player. You can search for the Living Off Rentals podcast there. Also, you can join the Living Off Rentals Facebook group. Nick's in the group. Other really successful rental property investors are in the group. So I hope to see you there, and I will see you in the next video.